Hello there, welcome to Africa News, bringing you the top stories on the continent, the headlines. Launching a manhunt, South African police look for clues and offer a large reward to find the culprits who killed the captain of the national football team, Senzo Meyiwa. A report released by Human Rights Watch says Boko Haram militants are using abducted young women on the front line of its insurgency. We speak to Human Rights Watch. And Guinea is one of 3 countries hardest hit by the Ebola epidemic, but the city of Telemeli is being hailed as a good example of how to combat the virus. But first to our top story. Johannesburg police have launched a manhunt and offered a large reward to find the killers of South Africa's football captain, Senzo Meyiwa. Now, the 27-year-old was reportedly shot dead when he was confronted by 2 intruders at his girlfriend's home on Sunday evening. A third assailant apparently waited outside before the trio fled the scene. Meyiwa was pronounced dead on arrival at hospital, as Catherine Viette reports.
Shot and killed for a cell phone. Police say South African football star Senzo Meyiwa was killed during a robbery at his girlfriend's house near Johannesburg. Meyiwa's best friend described what happened.
We were sitting together last night when 2 people burst in. They asked for our mobile phones and money. As they were running away, we tried to stop them. And that's when they shot Meyiwa at point-blank range.
The footballer may have been trying to defend his girlfriend, Kelly Kamalo, a South African singer and celebrity. He was rushed to the hospital where he was declared dead on arrival. Crime scene investigators have been searching the house as authorities pledge to do everything they can to find the killers. They've raised the amount of the reward they're offering to $23,000 for information leading to an arrest.
We believe that someone, some way, somehow knows something about this crime. And we appeal to that person to come forward and talk to us as the police.
His shooting brings into sharp focus the wider issues of gun violence in South Africa, particularly after the Oscar Pistorius murder trial. The Olympic athlete said he shot and killed his girlfriend by accident, mistaking her for an intruder. Fans expressed their shock and outrage over the shooting.
Losing youngsters like this at the pinnacle of their career, this is not right.
The 27-year-old was goalkeeper for the Orlando Pirates and captain of South Africa's national soccer team.
Time now for a look at some news in brief. Staying in South Africa, prosecutors say they'll appeal the verdict and jail term given to athlete Oscar Pistorius for killing his girlfriend last year. Pistorius began a 5-year prison sentence last week for culpable homicide. The verdict has angered prosecutors who tried to prove Pistorius deliberately shot dead 29-year-old Reeva Steenkamp. The president of Botswana, Ian Khama, will be sworn in for a 2nd term on Tuesday after seeing off the toughest challenge yet to his party's rule. Despite losing seats, Botswana's Democratic Party won a comfortable parliamentary majority in last week's elections with 37 seats. The coalition umbrella for democratic change won 17 seats to become the main opposition party. Tunisia's Islamist Ennahda party has congratulated its secular rival Nida in a general election seen as critical following the country's 2011 revolution. Going by a preliminary vote count, Ennahda, which has held power for 2 years, said it had been beaten into 2nd place. Election organisers have until October the 30th to announce the final outcome. Next, Boko Haram uses kidnapped young women and girls on the front line of its insurgency. That's according to a report released today by Human Rights Watch. The report documents the testimonies of former hostages who say they were abused by militants. Suspected Islamist fighters also kidnapped 30 children in Borno State over the weekend. A week earlier, 40 women and girls were seized in Adamawa. Well, HRW's Rona Pelliger is in New York and she describes some of the report's most alarming findings.
I think for us there were 3 things that were important. One, hearing the voices of the girls and women themselves, which is not something we've heard a great deal about. Two, the fact that there have been very few police investigations of the cases involving the girls and women, and that the Nigerian government hasn't taken the opportunity to learn about Boko Haram through these girls and women's experiences. And three, that the girls and women are receiving very little treatment, and they have a dire need for psychological and physical health care.
Vérone Mankou from Human Rights Watch there. Well, in other news on the continent, Guinea is one of the 3 countries hit hardest by the Ebola epidemic, which West Africa is struggling to contain. But the city of Telemele is being held as a good example of how to combat the virus. A clinic run by Doctors Without Borders has received a number of Ebola patients in recent weeks. While some have died, 75% have survived. France 24's Solange Mougin and Fabienne Offner report.
A few graves hidden in the brush. That's all that's left of Ebola in Sogoraya. With the help of the local Red Cross, Doctors Without Borders opened one of its 3 Guinean health centers here. They've now moved on, but while the center was open, 75% of its Ebola patients survived. Only 10 of the infected died, and there hasn't been an outbreak since. Telemele's population is being lauded as a shining example of how to work together to combat Ebola. The World Health Organization praised the city's medical teams.
What's unique about Telemele is that the population believes in our health services. There's a trusting relationship, so everything we tell them to do, they will do it.
Teamwork from people outside the city and the quick reaction time of local officials also helped combat the disease.
Everyone rose together as if they were one person to fight this disease, and its survivors are a testament to that. Despite our critics and a few defamatory statements, we, the authorities, took the necessary measures to make sure there was discipline at all levels.
The city is proud of its new image as an Ebola success story. But one of the newly elected officials reminded people of the ever-present risks as teams handed out medical supplies.
We should never accept that people say there is another case of Ebola in Telemele. So we are in a difficult position, one where we can't be happy.
Telemele's main weapon against the disease is educating the population, and residents hope that their message will travel far.
And finally, here to talk about an economic boom on the African continent, I'm joined by the Congolese entrepreneur Vérone Mankou. Just 28 years old, Vérone is already being referred to as Congo's answer to Steve Jobs. He's the founder of the first African tablet, the Wasi, and the first African smartphone, Ilikia. So, Vérone, it's good to have you with us this evening on France 24. Tell us how your products are different from what's currently on the market.
Thank you. African people is not so different from Western people. For the usage, they use same application, they have same needs. But the problem is with Africa, we want quality, but we don't have money to pay for that. So African people want good product and affordable product. So what we are doing is to make a very good product with same usage of an other brand, but we do it, we help the people to have that product very cheaper. So with our product, you can have same usage of an other brand, but it's 4 times, it's 3 times cheaper, and that's the difference.
What are some of the favorite applications which you touched on there that are being used in Congo, for example?
Yes, in Congo, for example, when you have something like Google Play Store or App Store, you can use it in Congo with other brand, but the problem is they marketplace don't have African application. But sometimes when you you search Africa application, you can't find it because there are many applications who's not African. What we are doing is to help to promote African content. It's like for the 2 last year, one application was at the top of our marketplace. His name was Sukali. It was an application to help people to cook African food. That's kind of application the people love it in Africa, but you can find it in iPhone, you can find it in other Android device. So we promote it, and we have some application like pharmacy. Sometime at night when you want a medicine, you want to go to the pharmacy, you can find it in Google Map. You need to have an application to do that. So what we're doing is to help the developer for making the application with the answer of the needs of African, and we promote them.
Now, you've been referred to in various articles as Congo's answers to Steve Jobs. How do you feel about that comparison?
When we decided to launch our company, our dream was to give more people access to the technology. And when the people compare our initiative like Steve Jobs' initiative, it's make me proud, because when we decided to do it, the people were saying it's a wrong fight. We are wasting our time. They ask us to stop it, but we didn't do that. We continue. We make it, and now many people call me and my company, like African Steve Jobs is good, because it's mean we choose the right fight and we win it.
Okay, Vérone Mankou, thanks very much. That's where we have to leave it, unfortunately. Thanks for joining us on Africa News this evening. All right, your Africa team will be back a little bit later, but up news with more international news, is Jade Barker, so do stay tuned.